Hello everyone. This is Spoiler Lab and today we are going to talk about the 2019 horror movie Deathcember. What can ruin Christmas? Maybe a few dozen mysterious deaths. A door too far. On Christmas Eve, a teenage boy wakes up early. He finds a chocolate calendar in the kitchen and devours its contents with gusto. He does the same with his sister's calendar, but still can't get enough. Then the boy walks into a gift shop, grabs a new calendar from the shelf, and quietly eats all the chocolate. The shopkeeper sees what he does and accuses him of stealing. The boy snarls, tosses the empty calendar aside and leaves the store. The seller grins wickedly and rubs a pentagram medallion, reciting a satanic spell. During the night, the boy turns into a piece of chocolate. In the morning he is eaten by a little girl. All sales fatal. A nervous woman walks into a gift shop. She wants to return a purchased toy that did not fit her son. The friendly salesman is happy to help and asks the woman to show the receipt. She rummages in her bag for a very long time, but the check is nowhere to be found. The seller asks her not to delay the queue. The woman goes into hysterics. She grabs a large bell and hits the salesman on the head with it. A bloody fight begins with cheerful music. Conflicting people strangle each other with a telephone cord and desperately stab each other with pens. Eventually, they both fall to the floor from exhaustion and blood loss. At this point, the woman finds the check, and the seller agrees to issue a return of the goods. Viancias, a little boy is terminally ill. The child's heart stops right at Christmas and his family weeps desperately. Suddenly, Christmas songs are heard outside the window. At these sounds, the boy's heart starts beating again. However, as soon as the singing stops, the child dies again. The boy's mother calls the children's choir to the house and escorts them to her son's room. Under any other music, the boy's heart stops beating, so the choir stays next to the child and continues to sing. Time passes, the choir does not go anywhere. Christmas songs are heard in the summer, at a boy's birthday party. They do not fall silent even after a decade. The boy's sisters grow up and bring their boyfriends into the room, and the choir continues to sing. The boy, like the choristers, is getting old, but stays in a coma but can die without their singing. The songs are heard at the funeral of the patient's family members and during the beginning of the apocalypse. The aged choristers go crazy and run around the room in gas masks. In the end, they all die, leaving the last singer. Finally, the patient comes out of the coma and gets out of bed. In a rage, he kills the chorus girl and calmly dies himself. The Hunchback of Burgheim. The story takes place during the Middle Ages. The main character, a hunchback, is chained up and led to execution. He is accused of murdering the official's family, a crime the hunchback did not commit. The people demand to burn the criminal, call him a monster and throw stones at him. Suddenly, an ambassador arrives at the place of execution with news that the murderer has been pardoned in honor of Christmas. The people rejoice and carry the hunchback in their arms. He is invited to a fun holiday, treated to a drink and given gifts. However, it turns out that these are only fantasies of the unfortunate hunchback. In fact, no one was going to pardon him. The hunchback is burned at the stake. Family matters. A guy named Mark and his girlfriend come to her parents for Christmas. Mark is visibly nervous and preparing for something terrible. As a gift, he receives a red marker with which they tell him to draw a line on his stomach. After that, Mark is given a knife and offered to rip open their stomachs. He was preparing for this in advance, so he is not surprised by such a family tradition. Overcoming unbearable pain, he inflicts a deep wound on himself. After that, the girl's father comes close to him. The man spews out many black parasites from his navel, which crawl into Mark's wound and infect him. He falls to the floor and coughs up blood. All family members copulate in an orgy, and Mark tries to come to his senses. After that, everyone sits down to dinner and drinks for Mark, who is now a member of their family. He understands that there is no escape from this horror. Looking in the mirror, Mark watches as a black parasite crawls inside his head. They used to laugh and call him names. A boy named Ryder and his father go hunting on Christmas Eve. The excited hunters notice blood in the snow and deer tracks. They find the animal, but are horrified by its condition. It is as if someone had seriously bitten the deer, but it is still breathing. Ryder plans to finish off the animal. His father gives him a gun and embarks on a lengthy discussion about life and death. But at that moment, the deer pierces him with its horns, and the internal organs fall out of his stomach. A frightened Ryder, screaming, pulls his father by the guts, but soon gives up and runs to his mother's house. The woman does not have time to figure out what to do next, because a rabid deer overtakes her. It spits gray goo on the woman and mortally wounds her. Ryder doesn't have time to escape either. The deer does not spare even the boy. Bad Santa, a curious brother and sister, shortly before Christmas, climb into their mother's closet in search of gifts. At dinner, the children do not confess their wrongdoing. Their dad tells them that it's not Santa who comes to naughty children for Christmas, but Krampus. This is a horned demon that hides children in a bag and takes them to hell. The boy is skeptical about this story, but his sister is truly scared. Late in the evening, the girl takes a large knife in the kitchen and goes to her room. Meanwhile, the father dresses up as Santa, but paints his face dark green, takes a bloody knife and a sack to look like Krampus. He stomps loudly and menacingly up the stairs, going up to his son's room. Krampus enters the terrified boy's room and swings a cleaver at him. However, at that moment, the boy's sister stabs him with a knife and kills him after multiple blows. The next morning everything goes on as if nothing had happened. The boy comes to the living room for a gift, where the whole family is waiting for him, led by his unharmed father. In his gift box, the boy discovers a bloodied Krampus cleaver. Santa is coming. An Asian man gets drunk on the Christmas Eve. At the same time, he hears the death cries and insults of his wife, whom he recently killed. His twin daughters are playing in the next room. One of them combs a doll and does her hair. The other girl takes the doll from her sister and cuts her hair in a frenzy. When the man comes to see his daughter to find out what's wrong, she pounces on him with scissors and cuts his ear. For this, the father severely beats her. Then the man goes to the bathroom to wash himself off. At this time, the other twin puts a mask on and kills her sister with a knife. Christmas is coming. The father gives the remaining daughter the bloodied corpse of her sister. The man says that this is a doll that will always obey its mistress. The girl joyfully combs the corpse's hair and says that her sister is much better off being a doll. A Christmas miracle. A lonely woman named Eva mourns her recently buried baby. The unfortunate woman prays and says that it would be better if she herself died, and not her son. At that moment, a mysterious woman in a black cloak appears in her house. She tells Eve that her prayers have been answered. Eva assures that she is ready for anything to return the child. Then a woman in a raincoat leads Eva to the grave of her son in the cemetery and orders to dig. Eve is terrified and tries to refuse. But then the cloaked woman shows her true demonic face, and Eve has no choice. She digs up the grave, takes out a revived baby from the coffin and joyfully hugs him. In the morning, Eva freezes to death in the cemetery. Her dead body lies in an embrace with the coffin of her son, and a woman in a raincoat walks away with the living baby in her arms. Little house in the country. On Christmas Eve, a woman comes to visit her father, sister, and nephews. Entering the house, the woman sees her sister, who, in a fit of bitterness, rips toys from under the Christmas tree and breaks them. In the depths of the house, the guest finds her father, who is sitting at the table with his head bowed. She tries to wake him up, but notices blood everywhere. The woman realizes that her father is dead and runs to look for the children. Having found the bloody nephews, the woman runs away from the house in horror and complete despair. However, it turns out that it was just a cute prank. Everyone is alive, and the blood was fake. All the participants of the drawing cheerfully jump up and run after the frightened relative to please her with their resurrection. However, they fail. The frightened woman hangs herself on a garland right on the porch of their house. Milk and cookies. A boy named Jack loves to play with his toy horse. The child's mother has died, and his father treats him rudely and even breaks the toy horse's leg in front of him. Most of all, the boy loves his aunt. She tells him to write more letters to Santa and leave him milk and cookies every time. Heeding his aunt's advice, the boy asks Santa to fix his horse's leg. The next day, the child's wish comes true. His father thinks that the boy fixed the toy himself. He throws the horse out and locks the boy in his room for the whole day. Jack writes a new letter to Santa asking him to keep his door open. This desire is also fulfilled, but the boy gets a black eye from his father, who doesn't believe in Santa. Jack writes a third letter asking him to solve his problems with his father. The good wizard has a not quite classic Santa look. However, he loves milk and fulfills wishes effectively. Santa quietly enters his father's room in the middle of the night and kills him with a knife. Jack is taken in by his aunt. The boy is very grateful to Santa for such a gift. Getting away from it all. A man hates Christmas so much, he decides to spend it alone away from the city. Here he rents a house full of cute Christmas paraphernalia. It irritates him. Suddenly, he hears quiet steps in one of the rooms, but he does not find anyone in it. After that, he goes to the living room and finds a present for himself under the tree. The box says not to open before Christmas. He tries to turn off an annoying garland on a Christmas tree and gets a serious cut in the process. He drinks and decides to open the gift before midnight. But as soon as he breaks the package, the doorbell rings. He reluctantly goes to open it. Outside is a crowd of people in festive clothes. They sing Christmas songs and break into the house. People forcibly leads the man into his bedroom. Here they tie him to the bed. Then they take socks out of the gift box and plug their victim's mouth with them. After that, the Christmas maniacs take out a saw and joyfully saw off the man's legs. The blood that splatters on their faces doesn't stop them from continuing to sing the sweet song. The man is exhausted from the pain, and the maniacs rejoice at the cut-off legs. Operation Dolph. A determined man in a Santa suit drives up to a house in the middle of the desert. Readying himself as aggressively as possible, he enters the house. Here, Santa quickly kills two boys, and then attacks their mother. The woman tries to defend herself with a knife, but soon she too dies. Santa continues to look for someone and runs out into the backyard. There are two men here packing cocaine. Santa kills one of them on the spot, and tortures the other. He tries to justify himself, since all the murders were due to drugs. However, Santa is not here for that. He kills an unfortunate chemist and goes to a hut in the backyard. Suddenly, he feels someone shoot him in the back and immediately attacks the man who shot him and completely crushes his skull. Santa continues towards the hut. Here he finally finds what he was looking for, his deer. He smiles bloodthirstily and tells his pet that there is no time to celebrate, because they have a lot of work to do. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, suggest new movies you'd like to see in the comments. We will try to provide you with quality content as often as possible. See you next time.